What's up, guys? EDA here, and we're going to be doing a review and a tier list for the Arsenal 23-24 squad. Obviously, Arsenal had a great season, ended up falling short of a Man City team who ended 2024 fantastically and set a benchmark of what it means to be a champion going for four straight Premier Leagues, and achieving that is an immense goal the season after winning a treble. And Arsenal need to be brutal with their squad going into this new season. And so we're going to be doing a tier list for the squad, marking out the players who we think should be leaving and detailing out some of the more questionable aspects of the team. So bear with me as we go through it one by one. There's some players who we know the futures of already, and I'll pick them out from the ones that I know starting off. So we're going to kick it off with Mohamed Elneny. We obviously know Mohamed Elneny has been at Arsenal for years. He was there when Arsene Wenger was there, one of the few, or if not only players who was there when Arsene Wenger was there. And he's been a good servant for the club. When called upon, performs at a decent level. Never really let us down. He's done what he's needed to do. He's been a great servant. It's time for us to move on. Time for us to bring in some fresh legs and blood into the team. Following on with that, we have Arthur Okonkwo. So he is the goalkeeper for Arsenal, youth goalkeeper. He's come through the ranks. Went to Wrexham last season, was actually the League Two goalkeeper of the season. So there's definitely going to be a lot of suitors out for him. I was potentially looking at if we could keep him as our third goalkeeper. Obviously, with that performance that he's had last season, there'll be many suitors for him. I suspect League One, potentially Championship, would be interested in a young goalkeeper. But his time is up at Arsenal and he'll be moving on to greener pastures. Another one which we know about this present stage as well will be Albert Sambi Lokonga. A couple of hours ago, he came out and said that discussions have been had between his agent, him, and the club, and decisions have been made that he should be looking for his next club, and he's actively going to be looking as well. Just checking if there's any others. So Renarsson, I believe, if he's not out, sold, or been released by the club, I think that should be the next step for him, if I'm being 100% honest, and it's time to potentially move on. Now, we're going to move on to some of the other players, those who have an active future at the club, and those we want to spend some more time investigating. So we'll kick it off with Gabriel. Gabriel has been absolutely immense, amazing for the club. This season, he's always had the annoying aspect of being reckless to an extent, dangerous, has put us in poor positions in the past. But I've always loved him. I've always loved his aggression. I've always loved his fight, technical ability as well, his ability to pass, his ability to be a great defender. And I think he's a stalwart in our defence alongside Saliba. I'll put him just below the world class category into excellent. So we'll move on to one of my favourite players and someone who, I'll be honest with you, I backed when he came into the club. I saw the vision of him coming into the team as a striker and offering something different. I've seen him watched Kai Havertz multiple times and seen how much of an annoyance, how much of a cog he can be. I thought the situation he had in Chelsea was less than ideal, and he needed somewhere where he could grow and develop. And I think he found that in Arsenal. He's got a great working relationship with the players around him, the creative players, Saka, Odegaard. See what he's able to do. I believe it was this season, 13 or 14 Premier League goals this season. He had a number of assists as well, 20 goals and assists in the league in his first season when he's played the majority of his games as a midfielder. I've got to give my hat off to him. So it's been great to see him perform and go from strength to strength. So yeah, that's been a great thing from Kai Havertz. Where I'm going to put him currently is going to be quite interesting. I'm thinking of putting him in either the excellent or crucial player. I think I'm going to go crucial player because I think he's continuing to grow in his elements and who he is within the squad, and I think he'll go from strength to strength next season. Cool. I think this next player will be Carl Hind. Obviously, Carl Hind is Arsenal's third choice goalkeeper. I personally haven't seen anything that makes me think that we shouldn't sell. He may offer a homegrown element, so just for that, I'll say loan him out, get him some experience. Let's see what kind of element and ability and quality he has. Next person up, we can go with Gabriel Jesus, and this is a controversial one for a lot of people. I've had a problem with Gabriel Jesus for a little while now, if I'm to be honest with you. One of the things I hate most is ineffective players or ineffectiveness in players. And with Gabriel Jesus, he ticks a lot of boxes, which is concerning. First and foremost, his availability over the last two Premier League seasons. His availability across those is probably averaging around 60%, and you can't have that for someone who's meant to be your main striker. He wears the number 9. He's meant to be our main striker. Kai Havertz was meant to be in the midfield. Jesus was meant to do his magic that he did at the start of his first season with Arsenal. That didn't function, and so in 1.5 years, we haven't seen the best of Gabriel Jesus through injuries, through his own ineffectiveness, whether that be his star play of dragging too far away from goal and being a focal point that this team desperately needs. If it's the element of just being an absolutely poor finisher, I don't think there's any other way of saying that. He has the worst XG in Premier League history. He's got one of the worst conversion rates in Premier League history. And you look at the ceiling that he's shown so far, even though he's young, he's 27 going on, I believe, 28 soon. Time is ticking, and Arsenal don't have the time to wait, especially in a position like his. I think, and I said at the beginning of the season, I thought that Kai Havertz would eventually reach the position of going into our striker position, and Gabriel Jesus would end up rotating and supporting on the wings. So when Martinelli's not performing, he steps in. When Saka's tired or he's not performing, he steps in. That's a role I potentially see him doing next season. But if you're asking me the question of if we were to get rid of Gabriel Jesus and replace him with a winger slash striker who would be fit and is more clinical, then I'd snatch your hand off. And I think if Arsenal were to say that I don't have the money or the Eddie Nketiah money potentially if we were to sell him isn't enough to get in this kind of striker we want or the winger we want, I would sell Gabriel Jesus. But now I'm going to leave it in undecided. I'm going to look at the rest of the squad and break it down. Jorginho, we know, signed a new deal recently. He showed his quality and his reliability. He was dealing with some injury issues during the season, but he showed up and he was managed well by the club. And so, again, I've got to give him his props for stepping up. I think his rightful position is a good squad player, and it'll be good to see him next season. Kivior, again, I've been so impressed by Kivior this season. He's grown in so many ways. The left back position, you can see, is not completely comfortable. I see him being more of a deputy for Gabriel in the left centre back position, but until he gets that physicality and that aggression that position demands, left back and as a rotational left back, I think it's a good position for him. So he's going to be put in good squad player as well. Gabriel Martinelli. Now, if you had asked me at the end of last season, I would have put him in an excellent or crucial player. Again, I think there's a lot of context which you need to put into Gabriel Martinelli's performances this season, and also last season. To be honest with you, last season he ended on a high. Was very clinical and was probably Arsenal's player of this. Player of the end of the season. A lot of players didn't show up at the back end of the season. He was one of those who could have held his head high in how he performed. He also was one of those players who outperformed his XG, so he was a really good clinical finisher from the chances he got. However, one of the things I've seen over time is he doesn't seem to, and I'm not saying he doesn't have it, but at times he doesn't seem to attribute and showcase his footballing IQ to the best of his ability, and I think that's something that we need to look into. It was interesting seeing the experiment of him on the right. I would like to see him move around a little bit more. I'm not sure the instructions that Mikel has given him in terms of his positioning. Obviously, losing Xhaka, Zinni not being on form, himself not being on form is obviously going to have an impact because of how positional play plays such a big part in what Arsenal do. However, I expect more from him. 6 Premier League goals this season, I believe. Same way I'm going to talk about Gabriel Jesus having 4 in the whole season. 6 is not good enough for someone who should be is in Arsenal's top 3 attacking players, or should be in Arsenal's top 3 attacking players. And so with that in mind, I think good squad player seems a little bit harsh. Where he should be is crucial player at a minimum, but I'm struggling here. I'm gonna mark it as being an off season, and we'll review it if he stays in crucial player. But we need to have a discussion about Gabriel Martinelli and his positioning, because I'm looking at starting the season with a new left winger and him coming off the bench and proving his worth, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I've said the same for a lot of players. There's nobody who's irreplaceable. Same with Ramsdale and everybody else. There's nobody who can't be usurped in their position. Competition isn't necessarily a bad thing. It pushes you to get better. So if he needs the competition, whether that's Trossard or someone else, I think it should be someone else going forward. Then it means Arsenal will be in a better position. Reece Nelson, got love for Reece when he comes onto the pitch. He gives his best. He gives his all. I can't ever fault his effort, and I believe he has an ability. If you're asking me honestly, to be at a mid-table Premier League team, I think he has something that could be used by the likes of teams like Bournemouth, Everton, Crystal Palace to a degree, if they were to ever lose one of their wide players, and he could come in and offer them something. He has value. He has ability. There's no doubt about it. I just think this is the wrong place for him. So I'm going to put him on the sell pile. Eddie Nketiah, I'm not going to waste too much time. Again, I believe Eddie has the ability. He wouldn't have made it in Arsenal for so long if he didn't have the ability of a Premier League player. He has the ability to score goals at, I think, a high level in the Premier League. Just to be honest with you, if he was to go to, again, teams of that mid-table element, and again, this is no disservice, they can be quality players given the right environment, and that's very important. He could score, I think, ranging from 13 to 15 Premier League goals in the season if he was given a full season to perform, maybe around that. I think of Gabriel Jesus' Premier League high being 14, and that's why I look at that number and I'm saying Mateta hit 16 this season. We've come on, that's the level that if you're on form and you're given a full run of games, you should be able to hit. I'm going to say Eddie Nketiah to be sold this summer, freeing up some funds for a new striker or a winger. Martin Odegaard, again, been an amazing player, captain, leader. I've got a lot of love for Odegaard. I think he represents the club amazingly. I don't know if he's at the world-class level as of yet for Arsenal. I would say yes. And Premier League, in terms of top Premier League creators, yes. I still think there's, again, room to grow in his creative elements. There's an element within him, you'll see from the Kevin De Bruyne's, that I think he's just missing to a degree. And that's not saying he doesn't have it. He's just young. There's other elements of his creativity that I'd like to see unlocked by Mikel, moving him around in the pitch. Potentially seeing him press a little bit less so he's in different positions. Again, that pressing helps us so much from an attacking point of view. So not wanting to tweak much, but seeing how we can get him into other positions to spread that creativity around in other areas of the pitch. I would say Martin Odegaard for Arsenal, world class. Thomas Partey, this is a difficult one. I think when he plays and when he's fit and he's at best of his powers, he's amazing, and he allows for Rice to be free in that 8 position. Whether that's where he should be going forward, that's a discussion within itself. It's all about his availability. The future of Thomas Partey, unless we get a crazy bid at the moment, will be him leaving on a free eventually. Now, is it him leaving on a free to help us win a Premier League title, or him leaving on a free at a failed attempt where he hasn't played? I'm going to base it off last season and what I felt we should have done with Granit Xhaka. We should have kept Granit Xhaka for consistency, for continuity, and we didn't. And we let a quality player go away, and we struggled to replace him and his impact in that area of the pitch. And so with us potentially getting rid of so many players at the moment, El Neni, Zambi, who's going to be leaving, obviously wasn't with the team earlier in the season. I think I just want a level of continuity in the team. Even if you're bringing in a player and Partey's role is diminished, he leaves in January, for example, I want to make sure that we have someone who knows what they're doing. Thomas Partey ended the season really well. He knows what he's doing in the Arsenal team, and I expect him to flourish. So I'm going to put him here as a good squad player just purely because we can't rely on his availability. Next up, Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron, I was one of those people when Aaron came into the team where I'd seen his quality. I knew he was a good player, but had some skepticism of him being our number one. Obviously, with his history, he came in and he proved me wrong, especially in his shot stopping. There was one thing I noticed at the end of the Premier League season last year was that he had, and I'm just being honest in my own assessment, I said this for a while, he has concentration issues. He has issues with playing out from the back. He has issues which will stop us from achieving. He has an ability that will stop us from achieving where Arteta wants us to go. And I was of the opinion we should have improved goalkeeping And that's what Mikel did with the introduction of Raya. I was in support of that move. That doesn't mean that we stop progressing in that area. I think again the competition is so key, and Aaron got that competition. And maybe I live in a delusional world, but I think if Aaron handled that situation slightly differently, one, he would have probably played more games. Two, it would have shown him in a better light. For me, essentially, he playing little games in the media, and I think that backfired on him. He didn't get the response he wanted to because Raya and the Arsenal defence was Prem's best. With Ramsdale, I want him sold with the caveat of I want us to get a lot of money, and that's looking at 45, 50 million onwards. Anything less, keep him there as number two, if I'm being honest with you. But there needs to be that deal of him being valued, one, for one, more than what we've paid for him, but two, the ability that we've been able to show, and the England call up as well. So I'll put Aaron Ramsdale at sell. Bukayo Saka, I'm not going to even talk about it. World class. I think he's close to being world class in real life. He's world class for Arsenal. Emil Smith Rowe, again, another one. I believe in Emil Smith Rowe. I like Emil Smith Rowe. Is he going to be given the opportunities to flourish at Arsenal? I do not know, and I don't think so. I've got a love for his ability. I've got a love for his play style and his frame, and I think he should be someone that we keep on with. I want to put him as good squad player with the caveat that we should be reviewing this. Leandro Trossard, again, he's shown himself to be, for Arsenal, moving up from the end of the season being a good squad player to being a crucial player. He's been there with the big goals, and it's almost like Martinelli and him should swap, if I'm being honest with you. But again, we'll review it. Fabio Vieira, £35 million we spent. I've not seen a return in value over 2 seasons. Again, injuries, inconsistent. Spurts of good performances. I'm not saying we should sell him unless someone's going to pay that 35 million, which I don't think they will. And I don't see him flourishing. Maybe I'm wrong and I want him to prove me wrong, but I'm not impressed by the money that we spent and how the Arsenal fan base holds other players to such a high regard. And we paid this amount and they've not performed. Fabio Vieira honestly gets away with performing. He's had the Brentford game, he had the Fulham second half this season, and the 2 games over the 2 years which really stand out to me, if I'm being honest with you. So Fabio Vieira, I'm going to put undecided for now. We're going to review. Ben White, excellent. He's been absolutely amazing. Crucial player for us as well. Stalwart, absolutely amazing. Zinchenko, I won't dwell on it too much. I don't like Zinchenko. He came to the team and I wasn't against him coming in. He played the role of inverted left back and I was impressed. But over time you realise that it's a bit of a fad, the fullback, especially if you've got efficiencies in the other areas of your game. He's not a good defender at all. I'm not going to have anyone else tell me otherwise. I don't like how he defends. And going forward, I haven't seen him invert well enough for me to warrant the instability in defending and the threat that we get when he's playing down that side. He loses the ball quite often as well. Obviously, he's trying to be creative and make things happen. Not a fan of his, to be honest with you. And if we can get rid of him, sell him, get a new left back in, I'll be more than happy. Marquinhos, again, another one. Sell. Multiple loans. We haven't seen anything come out of it. And I think the plan is this was a bit flop of a signing, if I'm being honest with you. Declan Rice, I'm putting straight into the world-class pile. Top 2 midfielders in the league. Absolutely amazing. Was not only did he show that defensive acumen, he showed that attacking acumen, multiple goals, multiple assists, and long may that continue. Hopefully he grows more in a 6 role, and that gives us the versatility of deciding if we want an 8 or a 6. I think the 6 is where he should ideally be, and we get a more adventurous, creative 8. Right now, he's his ability, but that's not his Jurriën Timber. I think he's going to be a crucial player. Where you've got the likes of Tomiyasu, who's a great one-on-one defender. Where you've got when you who's slot in and with effort and supporting the defensive abilities. You've got Timber, who gives you everything, the best of both worlds, including what Zinchenko will give you. He can go down the line, he can invert, he's got the technical ability, he's got the defensive ability, he's got the one-on-one ability. The only thing he may be lacking is a little bit of the aerial ability, but then again, he's going to be playing either right back or left back. More than fine. I think he's going to be amazing for us. And even though he played less than 90 minutes this season, I think his ability is 1-1. Cedric, one who's already left the club, decent player, but not that we need to take forward. Kieran Trippier, I would love to see KT back in the club. I love Kieran Trippier. He was a good player. He was he's a defender, and that's something I really appreciate. Top player. I want to sell because I don't think he has interest of coming back. I would have him within a second. William Saliba, world class, without a doubt. There's no need to play any games. Solid centre back. At the age that he is, we've got a gem, and the ability is to keep him happy. Tomiyasu would put him as a crucial player. I'm going to put him as a good squad player because of his fitness. He's shown enough to perform at a high level against some of the best wingers in the world. Obviously, still hard. He's body of a centre back, but got the instincts of a left back, right back. Can handle that well. Can play out the back. We've seen him invert. Good player, but we need him fit, ready, available. Because he can play left back, right back, centre back. He's our utility player and we need him. And he should be a crucial player if fit. David Raya, first season at Arsenal. I'm going to put him, it's between excellent and crucial. And if I put him at excellent, I feel like I have to put Kai Havertz at excellent. If I put him at crucial, I think this is potentially the level he should be at the moment. Working from crucial to an excellent player, he has been crucial in goal. Gives us a calmness and stability which we don't currently have. Finally, or we didn't have with Adams all the way where we should have. And finally, Nuno Tavares, he will be going in the sell list. And you can see the confirmation of the team. We're going to review it quickly. World class, we have Odegaard, Saka, Declan Rice, Saliba. I'm happy with that. Excellent. We have Gabriel and Ben White. Again, happy with that. I think they're just a tad below those four. Crucial players, I've got Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard, Timber, Raya. Only people I'm thinking of moving from this section into excellent is Kai Havertz, maybe Trossard and Raya. I just because of longevity, I'm not going to move any of those players up because they've recently joined. Obviously, Trossard's been there for a little bit longer, but I don't think he breaks into that because even though sometimes he'll produce, his performances aren't always at the level of an excellent player. I think that consistency needs to be there. Good squad player, Jorginho, Kivior, Thomas Partey, Emil Smith-Rowe, and Tomiyasu. I think I've been very kind to Emil Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Jesus, and Fabio Vieira. You could have told me last season, okay, Fabio Vieira was a good squad player and he's dropped down. I would say if you can loan him out, get him some game time, that would be good. Gabriel Jesus, for me, it's either sell him this season because he had another surgery. He's third or fourth knee op in 2 years with the club. You've got to get concerned as a club, if I'm being honest with you. I would say either sell him this season. I do worry that his value may be too low at the moment with the knee op, with scoring 4 Premier League goals. I think if you give him a run in the team at the winger position, sometimes at striker, depending on who we sign, his primary role should be supporting and challenging Gabriel Martinelli and Saka to get in on those wing positions, in my opinion. So we're going to move him to good squad player. I'm with Fabio Vieira, undecided, needs more time. I just don't know with him. I haven't been impressed, and it's been a little bit of a disappointment to me, to be honest with you. So this is the makeup of the Arsenal squad. We're going to also do a review of some of the transfer targets I think Arsenal should be looking into. Some key positions first off, and then focusing more on the individual players. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this tier list. Leave your opinions, any changes I should have made. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more football content. It's been EDA. Peace.